Morning. It's time to wake up, y'all. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, the Armchair Quarterback Show. Your first choice for Southern sports talk. Good morning. I'm Mac McGee, and I don't know much, but I know one thing. They built it, and we will come. Field of Dreams tonight. Field of Dreams game tonight. I don't know about y'all, but I'm really excited for this one as we get to relive some memories as kids and maybe share them with the next generation. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks. We got a great show in front of you. Stay locked in here with CBS Sports Radio and our YouTube Live.
Oh, where are you going?
After 12 years in the minor leagues, I don't try out. Besides, I don't believe in quantum physics when it comes to matters of the heart.
What do you believe in then?
Well, I believe in the soul. The small of a woman's back, the hanging curveball, high fiber, good scotch, but the novels of Susan Sontag are self-indulgent, overrated crap. I believe Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. I believe there ought to be a constitutional amendment outlawing AstroTurf and the designated hitter. I believe in the sweet spot, softcore pornography, opening your presents Christmas morning rather than Christmas Eve, and I believe in long, slow, deep, soft, wet kisses that last 3 days. Good night.
Oh, my. Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man.
Howdy, hi. Top of the morning to you. Welcome to the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. I'm Mac McGee, and we are getting ready for in my opinion, the most anticipated baseball game of the year. I'll take this over the All-Star game any day of the week. Put the political junk aside that happened at the All-Star game. We get that every year. This year, we're getting to watch them play baseball in front of a cornfield. And if that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what does. I actually watched the Field of Dreams movie again yesterday. I usually watch it twice. I watch it at the very beginning of the season and at the very end of the season. I make no apologies. It is my favorite baseball movie. I know a lot of people have other ones ranked above them, and I'm going to get into my ranking here in a second. But the reason why Field of Dreams means so much to me, it's the romanticism of it. It is the way that you can dream about something that obviously could never actually happen, but to bring back the dead ghosts, the players you would love to see. And then, of course, the end of that movie, when he's playing catch with his dad, if that doesn't get to you, then you're dead inside. You've either never had a parent, or you're not a parent, or you're never, you know what? You've never taken a breath, because even if you were an orphan, that would get to you because you'd want to know where your parents were. There's no way that doesn't get to you unless you're just absolutely dead inside. So that's item number one today is the Field of Dreams game. By the way, the article is out. I dropped it a little early yesterday, and there was a publication that wanted to get a hold of it, so I had to go ahead and drop it. But you can go straight to the source on just go to our Twitter page and find it. We tweeted it out, I don't know, around 4:00 yesterday. So it's not many tweets down. And then if you can't find it there, go to our Facebook page. And that's where you'll find it. I've gotten a lot of nice things sent my way, and I do appreciate that for those of y'all that took the time to read it. Means a lot to me. Especially means a lot to me when it comes from a sports fan. But all in all, I got one sent. I got a message sent for me last night from someone who's not a sports fan by any stretch of the imagination, and they sent me a really nice message. I won't share that because that's between me and them. But basically, it spoke to them, and I won't ruin the article. But basically, I talk about why this game means more than other games we'll watch this year. and why the movie meant so much and why it's meant so much to me. But I won't blather on about that. You can read the article or not read the article. You know, you can read it or you can kiss my ass. How about that? The movie was released in 1989. So this is realistically the 32nd year, the 32nd anniversary. They were billing it last year as the 30th, but it was really the 31st. I did an article back in 2014 for the 25th anniversary for a publication. And basically I took that article and I updated and added a lot more stuff that was not in there before. And that's what that's about. Now, a couple of things that you keep in mind with that movie when you're watching it. J.D. Salinger was originally supposed to be the topic of Terrence Mann, but he threatened to sue the film company if they used his likeness. So that's why they went the fictitious Terrence Mann. It was supposed to be J.D. Salinger and Catcher in the Rye. And instead they made it Terrence Mann and the Boat Rocker. So that's why when you're looking this up, you're like, where the hell is this? They had to take some liberties because the threat of a lawsuit by J.D. Salinger. Why? I don't know. But I guess maybe he didn't want to cheapen his book would be my guess. I never saw an exact explanation for it. It was very vague, but I think that's probably what it. Normally these writers, especially you're talking about a guy who was probably, I don't know, J.D. Salinger was probably born like '06 or whatever. He probably didn't respect movies. So that was the premise of that. And then of course the cornfields will be the backdrop. They had the cornfields, the backdrop of a couple of the shows that they were doing yesterday on MLB Network. One of the shows I'm not a fan of, and I will not mention it because there's no point in it, but I'm just not a fan of it. It's corny, it's dorky, it sucks. But I sat there and watched it with, now I'm not gonna lie, it was muted. I had something else on I was actually listening to, but I was sat there and watched it muted because they're talking with it was perfect. They're like, the sun was shining, the damn corn was like waving in the background. I was like, my God, what I wouldn't give to be sitting on that set right there and be doing a show in front of a bunch of damn corn talking about the Field of Dreams. I mean, it's just incredible. Tonight the game will be at 7:00. Now they're going to do a pregame show at 6:00. Let me go ahead and dive in the first quarter. Sometimes I forget that music's playing in the background, and it's always supposed to play for a few minutes. I'm supposed to change it, then I get caught into something. But the pregame show is going to come on at 6:00. Now I'm planning on watching both because I'm curious to see what they do. You know, there was some production put in place for this. You know there was, because there was a lot of money spent on that field. There was a lot of money spent on whatever the pre-production for the 6:00 pregame show on Fox. They're doing an hour pregame show for one random baseball game in the middle of August. You know that there's going to be a lot of bells and whistles. So I'm excited to see what that's about. I'm excited to see what they do in the actual game during the broadcast. I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if they digitally put in ghosts in the cornfield. That might be corny, whatever, but you also got to look at something too. When you're watching this game, don't just watch it through an old pissed off old man's eyes. Okay. Pissed off at the world. It didn't turn out the way you want it. Look it through it, the lens of a child. And if parents are sitting there tonight watching it with a child and they're trying to get them to not just fall in love with the movie itself, but also fall in love with the great game of baseball, I'm for whatever they want to do to romanticize it tonight. Because tonight, the game isn't about the game. It's not. Look, I get it. The Yankees and the White Sox are in a huge, well, especially the Yankees. This is a huge game for them because they're fighting for their playoff lives. And I get that. But for the majority of us that will tune in, we're not Yankees fans. We're not White Sox fans. We're fans of baseball or just fans of the movie. And you're going to tune in to see the production. I don't really care about who wins the game. I mean, realistically, pulling for the Tampa Bay Rays, I guess I would pull for the White Sox, but I don't really care. This isn't a day where I care. Let whoever win. I hope it's a phenomenal game. That's what I really hope. But even that doesn't matter. Because if the game sucks, I guarantee they're going to have so many things planned. I'm excited about this. Okay. The other thing that you would have to look at is that, first of all, if there's a God in the heavens, it won't rain tonight in Iowa City, Iowa. That's number one. If there's a God in the heavens, please don't let it rain. Please don't rain this game out. I'm sure they have a backup plan if something were to happen, but please don't rain this game out, because it's not like they could just come back and play this later on down the road. I guess in theory, they could probably play it tomorrow night. They do have a day off, so they would just flip-flop the days off. It's not like I was that far from New York, and I would say that's got one of the reasons why they're doing it this way. But the Yankees and White Sox will play tonight, and then they're not planned to play tomorrow, and then they'll play Saturday, Sunday. As opposed to having normal Thursday off, they're going to have Friday off. So I would say that's what the game plan is. If there is rain, then, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Because if you get geared up to watch this and it doesn't happen, then it rains out, and then you come back the next night. First of all, it's a Friday night. Friday night is notoriously a bad television night, so you wouldn't want that. And there's just a lot of reasons why I just really, I'm actually going to check the weather right now, because now I'm starting to wonder about it. I didn't hear it talked about, but here we go. Uh-oh, look out. Here we go. Look out. At game time tonight, scattered thunderstorms. Of course. Why the hell wouldn't there be? So if you believe in any kind of deity, pray to him tonight and see if it works out. Because thankfully it's only 30 to 40% chance of scattered thunderstorms. So maybe it won't hit hard, and hopefully it will miss the actual game, but we'll see what happens. Regardless, this game will get played in some form or fashion. Now, of course, tomorrow it's sunny and there's not a drop in the sky. So if it does get rained out, they would play tomorrow, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully we don't deal with that, because that would absolutely positively suck for a big fan of the movies and an even bigger fan of the sport. The game itself, like I said, doesn't realistically matter, but I do want to put something out here before we get into the National Football League. It is time to put Shoeless Joe Jackson in the Hall of Fame. When you look at this, at the real numbers and the real data that comes from that scandal. First of all, he hit the only home run in that series. Now, this was coming out of the dead ball era, excuse me. The next year would realistically be considered the end of the dead ball era, because that's when Ruth hit the 60 home runs or was it 54 that year for the New York Yankees. So when he comes out, Julius Joe Jackson hits the only home run in 1919 World Series. He also two times, it was documented, two times, he did not take money that was offered to him by gamblers. And that's been well documented. It's not rumor. It's not hearsay. It's been well documented. Now, the one thing that they could never prove for or against is the claim that money was tossed on his floor in his hotel room while he wasn't there, and whether or not he ever received it and whether or not he returned it, et cetera, et cetera. That's always been in dispute, but the first two were not disputed. The other thing that's never been disputed is the fact that he went to Charles Comiskey, the owner of the Chicago White Sox, to tell him, to warn him that the fix was on, and Comiskey stood him up. Now, Comiskey was known as a jackass, is a flat out jackass. It's one of the reasons why the players who did take the money and threw it through the game, they were piss poor managed. They were ridiculously cheap. So that 1919 team is called the Black Sox, and it's because of the scandal and all that. But what people don't realize is that nickname was a part of the Chicago White Sox lore long before the scandal, because the newspapers were starting to refer to him as the Black Sox because he was taking money out of their pay to wash the uniforms. And these are guys who are not getting paid much. Shoeless Joe Jackson, the year that he the year of 1919, the $5,000 that was supposedly offered to him and possibly taken, that was twice his salary. He made $2,500 in 1919, which was more than what it would be today, obviously, but it wasn't that much more. They weren't rolling in it. So Comiskey started taking their money and using it to wash their uniforms. So the players protested, raised hell, and they said, no, don't wash our uniforms. We'll take care of it. They quit washing their uniforms. They started going out there. And remember, back then they weren't all clay. A lot of these stadiums were played on like actual dirt, black dirt. And that's why their uniforms got so ugly and so nasty that the papers started calling him the Black Sox. Now that name was reborn when this scandal happened, but the original name was because he was so cheap. So he started paying for them to get laundered because he didn't want his team to be an embarrassment to him on the field. So that's the real story of where the original name Black Sox come from. It's time to put Shoeless Joe in the Hall of Fame. If you're going to sit here and get on a pedestal, tell me about how Pete Rose, who admitted on gambling several times, he admitted on gambling on his own team. He says he didn't bet against him, but who the hell knows now? Because he's lied so many times. He's gone back and forth, and he's lied so many times. We don't know the true story about Pete Rose because he's changed it so many times that it's almost become folklore as opposed to actual facts. But if you're going to pound the table and tell me that he belongs in the Hall of Fame, as many of you believe that, and I get that, Shoeless Joe Jackson belongs in there long before Pete Rose. He had this one mark on his career that no one could prove one way or the other. And he never had like a deathbed confession. He never like screamed, I was a dirty bum and I took the money. No, he wouldn't talk about it. But if you look at his numbers, if you were going to vote for a Hall of Famer, I mean, for the MVP of the 1919 World Series, it would have been Shoeless Joe Jackson. So if he did take the money, he didn't do much as far as throwing it. There were some writers that pointed to how he could have made some catches he didn't make, but without seeing video, I would actually have to see video of him like stopping short and letting the ball drop. Right? I don't think he would have been dumb enough to just let the ball because he didn't have an error in the series. But that's my take on Shoeless Joe. Shoeless Joe belongs in the Hall of Fame, and it's well overdue. It's been 100 years. How long are we going to do this? 100 years. And I think by now, Pete Rose should probably be in the Hall of Fame. I'm not a big fan of Pete Rose because of what he did. But at the same token, my God, it's been over 30 years. Remember, this movie was released around that same time period. It was a very hot topic at the time. And then, of course, in that same time period as well, the 8 Men Out was released, which is a really good film as well. But there you have that. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back on the other side, the National Football League is back at it tonight, and we will talk about that. We're going to get into MLB playoff races. Man, was there some excitement last night. We'll be back in a flash on the Armchair Quarterbacks. Keep it locked in here on CBS Sports Radio.
Oh, yeah? Well, me and the Lord, we got an understanding.
We're on a mission from God.
Make contact. A collective psychosis is sweeping the nation. We're in the thick of the haze craze, and Elysian is introducing an altered state of IPA. Contact Haze is a tangled chemistry of mild haze, low bitterness, and an explosion of hop aroma. This hazy IPA bursts with notes of bright raspberry, currant, citrus, guava, and passion fruit. Available in six-pack cans in stores and all Seattle Elysian locations. Make contact.
You're riding Morning Shotgun with the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here weekdays, your first choice for sports talk here on the First Coast.
If we actually enjoyed our New Year's resolutions, we'd all have six packs, money in our saving accounts, and we'd know how to play the piano. I have to tell you about the one resolution I actually enjoy. It's Built Bar. It's delicious. Oh, yeah, it's healthy too. Built Bar is healthier than your favorite protein bar. They're low cal, low sugar, high protein, high fiber, great for the keto diet. Lose or maintain weight while indulgent. And with only 4 net carbs and 150 calories, there's no guilt. Visit BuiltBar.com.
This is John O'Toole with the Armchair Quarterbacks. Catch me drive time with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and Facebook Live.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in socially distanced dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
I'm 7-0 this season. You auto-drafted. That's what all the great GMs do. They delegate. You didn't do anything. Yeah, I did. I set the cue.
Without fantasy football, what would friends talk about?
Almost wore shorts today. Oh. I was going to do a sweatshirt shorts combo. Switched to pants instead.
Armchair.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
Good night.
there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell. And engines that continuously use Shell V Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
You're listening to CBS Sports Radio. We are all sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Strong opinions and your phone calls. Expected here. CBS Sports Radio.
See, now to me, that button's in the worst possible spot. The second button literally makes or breaks the shirt. Look at it. It's too high. It's in no man's land. You look like you live with your mother.
Welcome back here to the Armchair Quarterbacks. As we are rolling here on a beautiful Thursday morning here on the First Coast, and we are looking ahead, and hopefully we will get this game. I mentioned there's a little bit of rain in the forecast, but that's unbearable. If it doesn't get played, I think it will. I think they'll do everything they can to get the damn thing played. But if it were not to get played, then they do have a day off tomorrow, and it is supposed to be clear skies. Hopefully all that rain moves out fast. All right. So we got the Field of Dreams. We put that out of the way. If you're not into baseball, I guess you're just an old simpleton. But anyways, there is the NFL tonight. There are 2 preseason games. One will be televised live, and then the other they will put on. Both will be on the NFL Network. One will be televised live, and then the other will be on replay. So you got the Washington football team and the Patriots live at 7:30 on NFL Network, and then after that game concludes, they're going to put the Steelers and Eagles. And by the way, looking at your weekend, you're jam-packed with football. If you want to watch preseason football, and if that's your cup of tea, I record them all. And then I go and fast forward through the stuff that I want to see. Because when preseason football comes around, dude, it's right in the middle of the pennant race. It is right in the middle of the pennant race. And I don't give a crap about practice. I mean, just for people that get excited about these things and think they're going to see some. First of all, they don't even put out what you would expect on these preseason games. You don't even get to see like a half of it normally. You normally get to see your starters for a series in the first game. The second game, I think they'll play it a little more revved up because and we'll find out. This is the first year that we're going to find this out. But I would tend to think that your second game is going to be your dress rehearsal, and the third game is going to be guys fighting for their jobs. Because for years, the third game was the dress rehearsal, and the fourth game, they were fighting for the jobs. Now, maybe they'll do the dress rehearsal, and maybe just certain teams will do it one way, and certain teams will do it the other way. But but I think you're taking a huge risk if you play your starters for any length of time past next weekend. Because if they get banged up, you are just 2 weeks at that point away from opening night. Hell, if you're the Bucks or the Cowboys, you're less than 2 weeks. There's going to be a lot of games on next weekend, and that will be August. See, let me look at the calendar real quick. But I think, that'll be August 21st and 20. So we'll just say 22nd for argument's sake, because that's a Sunday. The following week is the 29th, and that's when the third preseason game is. 2 weeks from that day is opening day in the National Football League. If you play your starters for more than like a series, if you even play them that long, you're taking a huge gamble. I guess we'll find out more this year than we will ever find out, but that would be my take, and that would be my guess. Is you're going to get these guys out there, they're going to be ready to roll, and they will play a little bit this weekend, and they will play much more next weekend. But I just fast forward through the stuff I want to see. I'll watch more of a Titans and Jaguars game, but I'm talking about games like tonight. I'm going to fast forward through. As soon as I get to the point where I'm like, who the hell are these guys? I'm turning it off. Because there's no point in it. To the end of a preseason football game, the majority of these guys are not going to be on your team. And don't tell me you're doing this for research. You're an idiot, because you don't know where these guys are going to land. They may not even be on this squad, and every football player fits in so much differently depending on the scheme. So that argument is absolutely stupid and asinine. I don't care if it's someone who's in the business who say, well, I'm going to break it down. You don't know what the hell you're looking at there, because they don't know what they're looking at. They don't run their typical offense. They're very vanilla, because if they're going to use any new wrinkles, they are saving the rocky road, and they are saving the birthday cake and the cookie dough. They're saving that for opening weekend. They're throwing you straight vanilla, melted vanilla ice cream. Melted vanilla ice cream that is like room temperature. That's what you're getting. I'd much rather watch a playoff chase. Preseason sports isn't that fascinating to me anyways. I watch more baseball than I watch any of it, because you have such deep leagues, deep rosters, and the organization, that I am sometimes interested to see. I'm really looking for relief pitchers. What is the relief looking like? But I don't waste my entire spring watching it, because normally in the middle of that, if you think I'm watching preseason baseball over like March Madness, that's asinine. And this is the same thing. I'm not watching a bunch of preseason football when we've got tonight's Field of Dreams game on. But for those of y'all who are going to watch it, kudos to you, and I respect the fandom. And maybe I watched a little more when I was younger, but it's not as intriguing to me as it once was. Tomorrow night, by the way, you're going to get a doubleheader of the NFL, if that's your cup of tea. Lions and Bills. So you will see Jared Goff for the first time in a Lions uniform, and Cowboys and Cardinals. I'm not expecting Dak Prescott in there. I'm thinking he may be back for next week, but the hell, you might not see Dak Prescott until opening weekend. Saturday night on the NFL Network, by the way, you will get to see now this I'll be a little more intrigued with. Trevor Lawrence is going to be on. So you've got that. That'll be 7:00 Eastern. I'm still going to record it and not watch it live, because if you watch the damn thing live, you got to sit through all the junk. I'm going to record it so I can get right to the meat and potatoes of it. And depending on what's going on in baseball, I'll be more locked into that. On Saturday as well, it's a triple header. I actually think it's a quadruple. Yeah, it's a quadruple header. Excuse me. Dolphins and Bears at 1. Broncos and Vikings at 4. These will be live on the NFL Network. And then I talked about the Browns and Jaguars at 7, and then at 10:00 you got Rams and Chargers. So if you really love preseason football and you watch every single bit of it, and I know there are people out there that do, I think some of them think they have to do it for fantasy football, but my God, just read reports and check on injuries. That's a quadruple header. And then Sunday there is a live game at 1:00 on NFL Network, Panthers and Colts. Now, it's interesting about the whole Colts thing, because it's looking now like there could be a chance that Carson Wentz makes it to opening weekend. I'm not buying that. You go from 5 to 12 weeks to definitely he'll be here in essentially the 5th week. I think they need to have a backup plan. And if it's not Eason, there's rumblings about Nick Foles wanting to come and play for the Colts. And I believe what's going to happen is Nick Foles is going to get cut. He's going to get cut by the Bears. And then at that point, he can go sign with whoever he wants to sign with. I don't think teams are going to give up draft capital to take him on. They're going to wait for him to get cut, because he's got such an expensive salary. They're going to wait for him to get cut and then take him on. I don't believe anyone's going to make a trade for Nick Foles. So if he doesn't land there, I could see him landing possibly with the Jets. But I would be willing to bet that it is Nick Foles ends up in Indy as the backup. So it would be a seamless transition to go in there. It's not like he doesn't know the offense. And if Wentz is injured, that gives you a guy, because remember, those cut deadlines are going to happen 2 weeks before as well. So you're going to be able to get him into camp and get a game plan drawn up for week number 1. All right, enough of that. Enough of the preseason football junk. Major League Baseball. We had us a night last night, didn't we? First of all, the Boston Red Sox put up 20 on the Rays. Now, I watched quite a bit of this game. And the one thing you have to take into account with this is that the Red Sox scored, I believe it was 6 runs in the 8th inning. And they did it off of Mejia, who is a position player. So he now has a robust 27 earned run average. And then the Rays, they scored 7 in a game that was a blowout at that point. It was 20-1 at the time. So you see the 20-8. What it really was about 14-1. And Eovaldi, he went out and pitched himself a gem. 7 innings, 1 earned run, 10 Ks. That's what you need out of your guy when the team is in a free fall. He has become their stopper. We could have Chris Sale join the team as early as, I believe, Saturday is what they're earmarking. as of right now. We'll see if anything changes in that. But that was a big win for for Boston, because they're now 4 behind Tampa. Look, if they win today, they're 3 out. But if they would have lost that, they would be 6 out, in danger of being 7 out if they had lost today. And at that point, you're just squarely on the wild card at that point, right? This is still a huge game for Boston today. You don't really want to fall 5 back, not with only about 50 games left. But I wouldn't call it do or die either. I would say that it's a game that they want to win, they need to win, but it's not a game that the Red Sox have to win. I saw that narrative this morning up in the Northeast. It's not a game you have to win. It's a game that you really want to win. Red Sox are going to send Hoke out to the mound, who's pitched pretty well. He has a 2.45 ERA. Well, I actually watched him pitch with my friend T. Was it a month ago? He was in town, and he was coming out of the bullpen. He looks pretty good. He's a solid pitcher. You know, I'm not saying that they're going to. I'm not going to say that they're going to build a franchise around him, but he should give them a decent outing today. And the Rays are going to counter with Rasmussen. Essentially, this is probably going to be a bullpen game for the Tampa Bay Rays. The other thing that happened last night, the Phillies are in danger of getting swept by the Dodgers after winning 8 in a row. And look, I felt like that was fool's gold with the Phillies on an 8-game winning streak, because like the majority of the wins were against the Nationals and the Mets have just played really bad baseball recently. You have to take that into consideration. How is the team playing when you meet them? They get pounded 8-2. And you can't be feeling good about that if you're a Phillies fan, because the Phillies guy, their guy, Kyle Gibson, who got the loss, he doesn't even go 5 innings. He gave up 3 earned runs, and they turned it into a bullpen mess, and they get absolutely pounded 8-2. The other big game took place in Atlanta, Georgia last night. And to lay it out for you, Atlanta's up 5-0 at the end of the third. It's feeling like a cruise deal. Then they give up a 2-run jack in the 6th. All of a sudden, it's 5-2. And by the way, this leads into what happened in the 9th, but Joey Votto is just hitting out of his mind right now. Joey Votto's like 58 years old, and he's just jacking them over the wall. If there's a guy that needs a pee in a cup, it's that guy. Cincinnati then inches a little closer in the 8th. Luke Jackson gives up a run, and it's 5-3 going to the 9th. And I jokingly said it on Twitter, and man, did I hit the nail on the head. I said, do I throw up now, or do I wait till this game is tied? Because Will Smith is a lot of things, but he's not a damn closer. He's not an automatic closer in Major League Baseball. He's got good stuff that they overpaid for. Good, not great. He's got good stuff. And they overpaid for him. And they're on the hook for him for 1 more year after this. And they've got to find a way to massage his damn ego, because he has looked absolutely flawed every time out this year, even in the ones where he gets the saves. And I get it that he's got like 21 saves out of like 25 appearances, opportunities. But even the saves he gets are always so damn rocky. None of them are clean. And I've said it several times, and I'll say it one more time. Rich Rodriguez, you made the trade for him. You bring him from Pittsburgh. He was their closer. Why the hell is he not getting opportunities to close for the Braves? And all I keep hearing is, well, because he pitches to contact too much. But he's got movement on that fastball, and though they are pitching to contact, he's getting outs. Now, I will say this. He got bailed out last night in the, I believe it was the 10th inning. Yeah, the 10th inning that he comes in. where an absolute scorcher was scooped up by Dansby Swanson that saved a run and possibly the game. But Santana comes in and he gives up a run. It wasn't an earned run. It was one of those automatic, put the guy on second base, unearned runs. But he was still on the hook for a loss, which is, by the way, garbage. I mean, what the hell is that? What the hell is that rule about? You shouldn't be on the hook for any kind of loss when that run was not put there by you. They need to come up with the new stat. It needs to be called team loss, because when that happens, that's absolute horse crap. I'm getting the loss or I'm getting the blown save because you put a guy on second base with no outs. Stupid. All right. But move on from that. The Braves are down 6-5. They go to the ninth. They get a couple of guys on. There's 2 outs. Ozzie Albies is up. The pitcher for the Reds, by the way, Lucas Sims, an ex-Brave, he was coming onto the scene to close out. He's done pretty good for them, actually. But starting to show chinks in his armor. He's got 2 guys on. He just walked the last guy. And the Braves have 2 on, but there's 2 outs. Ozzie Albies is up to bat. He flails at a what would have been ball 3 right before Sims hangs one and he jacks it out of the park. 3-run walk-off home run. Unbelievable. And I was a little disappointed going into it. I was like, the Braves got the Phillies to lose and they're going to blow the opportunity. But okay, at least the Phillies lost. It's not the end of the world. But for the first time since opening day, when everyone was 0-0, the Atlanta Braves are in first place in the National League East. They're in a flat-footed tie with the Phillies. And today, they're all back in action. By the way, the Mets are 1 game back. They've played two more, but they're 1 game back of the Braves and the Phillies. They will make up one of those games today, as the Mets are going to play a doubleheader because the second part of their doubleheader from yesterday was rained out. So they're going to start today at noon. So I know a lot of your dockets probably showed that they're only playing 1 game. They're actually playing 2 games today, starting at noon, and then somewhere around 3:30 is where the second game will be. So the Braves will play at 1. The Braves will play at 5. The Phillies will play at 1. The Phillies are going to finish up their series with the Dodgers. The Braves will finish up their series with the Reds, and the Mets will finish up with the Nationals. The pitching matchups you're looking at today for all games of interest, we already talked about Rays and Red Sox, and you've got Kyle Muller going to the hill for the Braves. That should be a good pitching matchup. It's Muller versus Gutierrez for the Reds. Gutierrez has pitched really well this year, and difficult guy to get out of the game. Phillies and Dodgers, that game is at 1:00. Ranger Suarez and his .98 ERA for the Phillies is coming in. This will be like a bullpen game facing the Dodgers. They have not said who the Dodgers starting pitcher is going to be. So I don't know if it's going to be a bullpen game. Price went last night. How about David Price ripping the ball in the gap? How about him ripping the ball in the gap? Braves Nation jumping up and down. All right, let's go. I've never known Dave Price to be much of a hitter at all. Hell, he hasn't much of an opportunity. DH in college, DH for the Tampa, DH for Boston. Where was he before Boston? DH in Detroit. So now he's in the National League, and normally he's like playing a relieving role. He doesn't get much chance to be. He stroked it. When I saw it live. I had the 2 games on at the same time, and I didn't know who it was. I just looked at it, man, that dude ripped that. At first, I thought it was because it was a very similar swing. I thought it was Bellinger, and they just shown a Bellinger highlight. And when he ripped it, I was like, man, he is on fire. And I was like, wait a minute, that's David Price ripping one of the gap. Murfreesboro, Tennessee's own David Price, Vanderbilt Commodore. Look out. He might be able to step aside from the pitching and become a DH. Never know. Probably not. I'd say his lifetime batting average probably isn't above 100, but who the hell knows? The Mets, by the way, the first game, the 12 o'clock game, it's Trevor Williams going to the mound. So it's one of the reasons why they got him in that trade, is that they need someone to eat some innings. So he'll play the first part and Marcus Stroman the second part. So if you're a Braves fan, if you're a Phillies fan, you're looking for the Mets to lose, you got to figure you got a much better chance of that early game going the Nationals' way than the second game, but the Nationals have not announced a starter yet. So we'll see what happens with that. But other games of interest today, the Yankees, White Sox, it's going to be Heaney versus Lynn. So that's the Field of Dreams game. Should be an entertaining game, although Heaney has not looked well. So the White Sox just might pound the hell out of the Yankees, but you're there for the enjoyment of the actual spectacle of the game. And then at 1 o'clock, by the way, if you're an Oakland A's fan, you better get your ass up out of bed and get the coffee going, because you're going to play at 10 o'clock local time, 1:10 p.m. in Cleveland. They'll face the Indians, and Chris Bassett's on the mound. The Tigers and Orioles will square off, and if you really care about that, look it up, because who gives a damn about that game? Although John Means will be on the mound, so he's bound to do another no-hitter. He's playing the Tigers. The other teams of interest are actually in the race. You've got Marco Gonzalez and the Seattle Mariners. They are going to be playing this afternoon at 4 o'clock. They host the Rangers. Old Fultonevich, what's he been doing? He's 2-10 with a 5.77 ERA. You know how many Braves fans I had to listen to back in February, March saying, "Hey, should have kept Fultonevich. He's going to really turn it around. He's got some talent over there." Then he comes out with his bebop ponytail. I don't know if he still has that or not. Looked absolutely ridiculous. Like, dude, just if you're gonna do this, just throw your cleats away, go smoke dope on the top of a mountain, and call it a day. You obviously have given up on everything that is baseball, because you got hair down to your ass. It's jammed up into your cap. You look like you should be like playing a flute on the sidewalk, passing out pamphlets against big government. Yu Darvish goes on the hill tonight. Now, the interesting thing about the games tonight, none of them start until after, I think, 9 o'clock is so 9:38 is your next starting pitch. 2.5 hours, giving them about 2.5 hours to complete that Yankees game. They did that. They either had to move them up, or that's why there's so many day games today, because they want all eyes on this. They want fans to watch this. And so hopefully it works out. Yeah, the one thing you can't plan for is the weather, but hopefully it all works out. Logan Webb, by the way, and the Giants are playing the late game. They're at home against the Rockies. Looking at the standings real quick, because we've got to jam out of here. So we already talked about the NL East. Brewers are running away with the Central until it changes. I won't bore you with that. San Fran's now 4 games up on the Dodgers, even though the Dodgers have won 4 in a row. So is San Fran. It's the Padres you got to worry about. They're in a free fall. They're 8 games out of first, but they're now just 4.5 in front of Cincinnati. So these games for the Padres, this isn't a give me the San Diego is going to make the plus. I think they will, but it's not a give me. It's not a give me, because I'll tell you what, Cincinnati lost the first 2 games of this series, but I've been impressed with Cincinnati. And Cincinnati has a really good team. Would not shock me at all if they win tonight, or actually early this afternoon. late this afternoon, 5:10 first pitch. Such a weird time. Like, why not play that damn thing at noon and get it over with? But looking at this, and by the way, the shadows are going to come into effect with that, because you know how this new Truist Park, man, those shadows are rigid. When you have a 5 o'clock first pitch, those shadows are rigid. When the Braves lost to the Cardinals in Game 5 of the NLDS, and they gave up that ridiculous, was it 10 spot in the first inning or whatever it was, and you're trying to make a comeback, you were cooked, because by the time you got back up to bat, the shadows were coming across. It's going to be key to get an early lead in this game, because those shadows could really do a number on you until the 7th, 8th inning. But you look at the San Diego Padres, and you look at what they've got coming up. And look, yeah, today they're playing the Diamondbacks, and they start a 4-game series. They better take off. They better take off and do it big, because they've got the Diamondbacks and Rockies. They're on the road, but those are 2 really bad baseball teams. And then they're going to come home, and that's great. But you're going to get the Phillies and Dodgers, both who are fighting for playoffs. They're going to go to the Angels. That's pretty cush. Go back to the Diamondbacks. How are they getting to play the Diamondbacks 2 road this late in the season? Man, they must have made a deal with the devil. But here's where it can get tricky. You've got the Astros at home. You've got the Angels at home. Not worried about that. But this all goes down from September 3rd, so Labor Day weekend, wrapping all the way into realistically the rest of the month. Listen to their month, the San Diego's month in September. So they better rack up some wins now. Astros for 3 at home against the Angels, whatever. That's a 2-game stint. At the Dodgers for 3, at the San Francisco Giants for 4. Then they're going to go to St. Louis, and St. Louis is not the type of organization that just lays down. Then they're going to get a day off. They get to come back. All right, great. Who do they get? They're going to get the Giants for 3 again. Then they're going to play that suspended game that Braves and the Padres had a suspended game back on July 21st, where the Padres are leading like 5-4 in the 5th inning. That's going to get finally reconciled. It's going to be played in San Diego, but the Braves will be the home team. If that makes sense. So the Braves will have last up. So they'll play a doubleheader there. They're going to, it's a total of about a 3.5 game series. Then they're going to be at the Dodgers. And if they can figure that out, they're going to be at the Giants. They have got a brutal schedule. All right, it's time to get out of here. We're going to go ahead and hit a real quick turn back time and birthdays, and then get on out. But I'll tell you what, keep an eye on the Cincinnati Reds. It is not over. I'll lay that out down the road, but it is not over. The Reds, doesn't matter what happens today, the Reds are going to be in this, because the Padres, that's why they're trying to rush back Tatis and going to think about putting him in center field, because it's not a foregone conclusion that a 4.5 game lead with 50 something to go is a done deal. If they don't play well, they could get smoked by the Giants and Dodgers, and the Braves and the Astros. They could have a terrible month of September. It's time to turn back time. Y'all ready? Thanks for being with us this morning, by the way. Okay, on this date, in 1949, the 16th NFL All-Star Game played in Chicago. 93,000 people. Wow. I would not have known that. 93,000 people showed up for this game. Philadelphia beat the All-Stars. Now, this was the college All-Stars.
and they beat them 38-0. Can you imagine if they were doing that today? I mean, it would never happen. Can you imagine if they were to do that today? I would like to see the college all-stars going into this year, or even the ones that just left last year. I would like to see them play like someone terrible, right? Like we'll play the Jaguars and see if they could actually win. I'd really like to see a game between Alabama and the Jacksonville Jaguars playing in the middle of August, but it'll never happen. It's injuries, worry about that. Also on this day, 1963, the great Stan Musial retired. And the following year on this date, Mickey Mantle switch hits, home run, 10th time in the same game. Major League Baseball record is that for the 10th and final time, he hit 2 home runs in the same game from both sides of the plate. Birthdays! It's your birthday today. Dead guy. What does that mean? Ray Shock. Ever heard of him? On this day. Baseball Hall of Fame, he was a catcher. I'm your parents, are your beautiful. He was a part of the White Sox. He played for the 1917 World Series champion White Sox, by the way. Magical day. And later on became a manager. Passed away in 1970. So that's the tie. So he ties it all together. And birthdays of guys who are still kicking. Guys and guys are still kicking. Dave Samples is the ripe old age of 50 years old today. You know that? Ivan Mahoney, I've got a lot of people that remember her, but she's 44 today. She was also a pretty darn good tennis player. Chris Chambers, remember him? NFL wide receiver. I believe the Dolphins have recently most of his time. He is 43 today. And throw one more out at you. If I say shot his own leg and ruined his career, what did you say? Plaxico Burress. No, happy 44th birthday, Mr. Plaxico Burress. And hopefully you've learned your lesson on carrying a pistol in your pants in a nightclub. Oh my God, some of the stupid things that happens in this world. It really is dumbfounding. We will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Football Friday. Justin will be here with us. We're going to do Power 5 Day. And that means that we're going to tell you the teams that we like to make a chance at one, not just at possibly the New Year's Day bowl game, but also can maybe slide into the playoffs if everything were to fall correctly. We got that. Tony and I will do Gators and Golf at 8 a.m. tomorrow. And don't forget, take me out to the ball game. Drops every morning at 9:30 so you can flip over and catch that. I did something on Show's show today. All right. We will see you manana. Have a great day. And Film Dreams Day, baby. That's my walk-off. There's only one thing I care about watching today, and that is it. We will see you tomorrow. Good morning. It's time to wake. We'll probably see you before I figure out these buttons. Goodbye, sweetheart. It's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Talk to you again. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show. Same back time, same back channel. Thanks for listening to Armchair Quarterbacks on all CBS Sports affiliates. Catching the show on YouTube Live. Weekdays, find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us good Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for Southern Sports Talk live from the first place.